Welcome back to Brashonomics on our Halloween spooky edition. And, we could talk about a lot of things that are scary, especially, like buying a house, like maybe getting a financial plan for the first time, all these things that are scary. But, adults don't really get too scared of Halloween anymore. It seems like more of this rush to get to the store, to get your kids off trick-or-treating, all these different things you have to literally slam into like an hour and a half. That coupled with the traffic makes it sometimes a little difficult. When you are selling a house, though, certainly there are other things that can be stressful that seem to come off last minute. We're lucky enough to have Gena Odland today with CG Real Estate Ready, who really does help people get their homes ready when they're ready to move. Welcome, Gena. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Do you have big plans for Halloween?
You know what? I'm going to do exactly what you said. I'm going to run home,
stop
madly
at the
do
store.
stuff. Oh, like what time am I supposed to be there with trick-or-treating? Yep.
Yeah. Did you buy the candy yet?
Not yet. I'm thinking about not, though.
Really?
Because I buy it every year and no one shows up and it's just depressing.
Yeah,
so this year I'm just going to light my pumpkins and say hello if anyone does.
Say hello, like, well, you guys weren't here last
I'll
year.
grab something.
The worst
out of
is,
the
you
fridge.
get like dressed up, waiting for the kids to come, and then you're literally just sitting there watching TV or,
and then you blow out your pumpkins a little bit later, like,
Yeah.
oh, well.
And then that last trick-or-treater, like, first one comes to the door.
The older kids,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it does seem like that last-minute rush that Halloween does provide for people. And when people are trying to sell their house, they're really trying to potentially move somewhere else. And you guys really help people get from kind of you're kind of not point A, you're kind of not point B, you're kind of the straight line, which is the quickest point from house A to house B. How did your company get started, and what exactly do you do?
Well, it got started because we had a neighbor down the street, and the frenetic energy you're just talking about, getting ready for Halloween, multiply that by about 1 million, and that was the state she was in. Her husband had already been transferred to Texas, and she was left with all the tasks of getting the move as well as getting the house ready for the market. And these people were not regular home maintenance people because they were just too busy living their lives. So we really did help her in providing services for her. And then she suggested we do it for a business, and the outcome was so amazing, alleviating her stress, making the home improvements to where her home just had a complete makeover, getting her off to Texas. Her house did well. And I think that's where we started. So
really it wasn't a big grandiose plan. It just kind of fell together in some ways.
It exactly how it happened.
So what are some of the most stressful things that somebody deals with? I mean, when you start looking at all with moving, I mean, you're in their lives kind of while they're moving. What are some of those stressful points?
It's time and money. It really is. I mean, it's extremely stressful. I've never seen anybody getting ready to put their home on the market because there's just the stresses are coming from a bunch of different angles. And what to do, what's the best thing to do, how to do it, and how am I possibly going to do it, and who am I going to get to help are just overwhelming questions generally from the beginning. So
is it a lot of this, we talk sometimes about you don't know what you don't know. I mean, you look at a room, you're like, that'll take 20 minutes to pack. That'll take 15 minutes to pack. But really, it just doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way at all. Everything takes, it's physical work. It's not like punching on a computer. We have a lot of high-tech people, and I think there's a little skewed sense of how long things are going to take. So it does take time. And our focus is helping them get their home ready for market so that we help them get a good return on their investment. So, we will help them. We do provide like guidance and counseling. These are the things that you really need to do in this market for you to do well. And these, so that's kind of our focus.
So, okay, well, let's talk about these kind of categories because people are stressed about all different things, time and money. What are the categories that you actually help with? Because you're probably not giving them money, and I guarantee you're not giving them more time.
Nope. We can't do it. We can help streamline their time, though, and we can streamline their budget. So, but what we do is we have 4 service categories. We can help them get rid of their junk. A lot of people are trying to simplify their lives, and we can advise them on how to do that. We also do a lot of donation, sort of a save the planet sort of effort on our part. A lot of people don't have time to run to their things to the, Goodwill and this and that, and we can help separate that and actually physically get their stuff where it needs to be. We also then can provide, we're general contractors, we can provide any of the handyman things that need to happen so that they can get their house on market, whether it's a punched-in wall, whether it's new floors, a light remodel, the whole scope of that, as well as, spruce up their yard, any exterior yard repair, and then cleaning. It's a detail cleaning.
So kind of top to bottom, okay, get my stuff out of the house, take the garbage to where it needs to go. Do you guys pack boxes? Or not so much on the packing?
Not so much,
Okay.
Yeah. It's usually larger items, like they're downsizing, so furniture that will no longer fit or things like that.
And so there's, it really is. It's getting these things where they need to be. Or having even a truck. If you have this furniture, sometimes it's, well, now we got to go rent if you don't have a truck. Now you got to go to U-Haul, and then you got to do that. And then you got to get, the
There's
kids.
too many things.
People who are stronger than us, maybe not you guys, you do this, but, moving anyways. So you talk about time and scheduling and the money, the confusion, the stress. Does this tend to, when you're helping people with, the general contracting, whether it's paint or the cleaning or getting the yard up and ready, does that tend to put people they just feel like they're doing the right thing? Is that kind of where that stress alleviates from?
I think knowing what to do. Everyone is really in the move. One of their main concerns is what they're going to be able to get for their home. We're talking a lot about homeowners that are going to sell their home. So it's really they want to get the most they can out of their home. So we can help, that's at the forefront of their stress. They don't want to
leave money on the table.
They don't want to leave money on the table. They don't want to spend too much money, but they want to spend enough money. And then the service providers, who do I call? In our case, we can streamline it because you only need to call one person. But I got to call a landscaper. I got to call a cleaner. I've got a painter, and then I also need a plumber, and then then I need a junk hauling company. So and they don't have time to schedule all those.
Sure,
yeah. So
I get it.
Yeah.
So when somebody goes through this, what are some? It sounds to me like really their goal or their ultimate goal is to make more money from their sale than they would have without hiring you.
Absolutely.
So it's actually profitable to hire you and have these people come in because you're able to present them a plan that makes their house more valuable.
Absolutely. Give them some guidance on what they do and they do need to do, what versus they don't have to do.
What are, and of course everyone wants to save money while doing this, right? It's amazing. People are like, yeah, I want you to make me more money, but I want you to do it the cheapest possible.
Absolutely.
We've had this cost versus value conversation a lot, and some people are so afraid of the cost, it's hard for them to even see the opportunity. For people who are extremely cost conscious on something like this, something like the projects you work on, and again, we are here with Gena Odland of CG Real Estate Ready. What are some of the biggest cost savings tips that you could give some of our listeners?
Well, this is probably the most basic. Even if you're not planning to sell or rent right now, if you exercise good home maintenance throughout your tenure at your home, then at the time of the move, there won't be nearly as much of that frenzy. So if you take care of your gutters, if you've got a leak, we once did some work on a hose bib that was leaking. The gentleman had been there for 4 years. The amount of money that he spent on not fixing that one leak, it was just a waste of money. So just stay on your house then and there. Other than that, cost-saving tips, do as much of it as you comfortably can do by yourself. The cleaning. Anyone can clean a house, but clean it extremely well. Give yourself time to do it. Start early is very important. So do as much as you can yourself. And then don't hire cheap, I would say, because we've been called so many times to repair something that's already been repaired. So get yourself a professional. If you want to, if you have time to get yourself multiple bids, do it. Do it someone who maybe has been referred to you that you're comfortable with. It's a gut sort of trust level, and they can usually advise you if they're somewhat knowledgeable of working for people that are putting their home on market on maybe less expensive ways of doing it.
You talked about things people are comfortable doing themselves. How does somebody know what they're, I guess, like to me, you say anybody can clean. I'm really not comfortable cleaning.
Then don't do it.
It just would not turn out well, right? I'd be like, yeah, it's pretty clean. And then
Yeah,
my
and
wife
I'd go,
comes
"Oh, it's
downstairs
filthy
and
in here."
says, you didn't clean anything. I'm like, I just spent a half hour. What do you mean? There's just things people are good at and not. And I guess you can really be wasting your own time. You talked about being comfortable, but you also kind of have to be good at it.
Absolutely. If you're not good at it, listen to your wife and say, okay, we'll hire a cleaner, or will you do it for me, hon?
Because my kid is comfortable painting,
Oh, well,
but he's probably shouldn't be painting the walls
then in your case, I would find a company
like yours.
like us.
Yeah.
Yes. And what we do is we come in, we meet with you, we go, okay, this is what we see. It's really helpful if you can provide us with your service providers with a budget. Sometimes people are really leery to do so, but that's how we can best go, okay, for this amount of money, let's hit these things and let's leave these alone. So
kind of prioritizing some
absolutely.
of them. I mean, if you have a gutter that's falling off your house, people are going to notice that pretty quickly.
Any inspection-related items that are pretty apparent are pretty important to take care of. They have to be. So, yeah.
I mean, do you guys go in and actually inspect the house for things? I mean, do you go in and go, well, here, I see the issues, or does somebody need to come to you with a list?
Well, we have both, but no, we absolutely are comfortable going in and saying what we see. Being general contractors, we do pick up on a lot. That's one question that some people ask us is, should I hire an inspector to go through my home before that? We say absolutely not. If you have an open relationship with your contractor, if you have one in, get him to talk to you, get his feedback. Do you see anything that's in disrepair that might come up on an inspection? He'll let you know. But hiring an inspector, they're human, and there's too many vagaries in the system. So we've had people that hired inspectors, spent that money, had the items fixed that was pulled on that inspection. The buyer had an inspector, came up with a whole different list. So he spent twice as much money as he really needed to do. So
Gena Odland joins us from CG Real Estate Ready. What are some big do's and don'ts then? I mean, when you start looking at what you should do for your house, the priority list, cleaning, putting the gutter back on if it's fallen off, which you probably should do before you move. But
absolutely,
that's a maintenance issue, I suppose, some people choose to address. But what are some of the biggest do's and don'ts in going through this process?
Do give yourself time. I know that's much easier said than done, but it's going to help you not only have time to compare bids and to thoughtfully organize the whole process. So if you give yourself time as much as you possibly can, start early. I mean, sometimes we'll get a call the first of the month, they want their house on the market at the end of the month. That becomes that Halloween frenzy that you
and that's 30 days.
That's 30 days, and it's
so. What is enough time? Is it a 60-day? Is it a 90-day?
Start with that phone call at 90 days. Absolutely, if you have it, do it, and that way they can you can get more than one bid, or you can find referrals from friends rather than just you can get more knowledgeable. You can talk.
You also wouldn't have to pay extra to have the guy out there. No, we need the painter tomorrow. And now the guy's like, well, I got to push back 3 other jobs and it gets more expensive to do it quickly.
Right. Particularly good contractors. Your good contractor will be very busy in spring and summer. They're very busy. So they may not have time to do it for a month. They might be able to come out and give you an estimate, but they won't be able to physically do the work for a month. So you might have to end up going with your less desirable contractor. So do that. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend hiring an inspector. Let's see, what other things?
Well, you'd actually said something before the show about kind of mentally and emotionally releasing your home.
Very important, because then you can take the advice, whether it's from your realtor or a company like us, that they can't hear it. You need to let go of the fact that this is your home, and it's now the buyer's home. So, and from that space, you can make more appropriate decisions about what you need to do. I mean, an example is sometimes some people don't want to take their artwork down. They think it's going to stage wonderfully, but perhaps it's really outdated.
Or it's a finger painting from your kid.
Absolutely, yeah. Or one person always had wanted a deck on the backyard, and so they spent the money to put a slider in a large back deck. It really wasn't necessary in that market. But they were so glued into that being their home, what they wanted, they weren't able to hear what was really recommended to them. So release the home. Think of it. Don't be so attached. It's no longer your home.
Yeah, it seems like that's also an interesting thought, though, for not only selling a house, but buying a house, because you're buying a house that you get to make your own. And so it kind of plays both sides of the fence. You're in some ways, I wouldn't say a blank canvas, but you are buying a color, color by number, where you get to choose maybe the colors and what goes into a house, and you need to give that buyer the opportunity to choose their stuff.
Absolutely. A general thing is you want to make it as neutral, so the most amount of people be able to walk through and envision their things, what they want their home to feel like in that space. So general rule is do it pretty neutral.
Well, Gena, thanks so much for joining us. Stick around for a few minutes. I'd love to chat with you a little bit more at the end of the show. Again, Gena Odland with CG Real Estate Ready. When we come back, Halloween is a time that we've talked about people rushing around, and sometimes people are rushing around trying to find different ways to save the world, or maybe they're just thinking about it before they go to bed. I don't know. When do you think about it? When we come back, Doug Clarkett's going to join us and give you one of the easiest ways that you can help charities that you may like. We'll be back after this break.